Hey everybody, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a new playthrough video. This one is a new, small, compact game that I've recently discovered. I wanted to share it with you. It's called Deck 52: Space Wrecked, which makes me think that the author may be coming out with some other variations of this game in a Deck 52 series. There are 52 cards in a standard deck, I think, if you take out the jokers. And so you do not have to buy these cards. I got these from drivethroughcards.com, but you can play with a standard 52 card deck, which you can get the rule book and play without having to purchase these cards. The problem is, playing with a standard deck of cards, you're always going to be looking to see what is a 3 of spades, what is a 4 of diamonds, things like that. Whereas the cards I've ordered have the graphics and the instructions on them. So what is this game about? Well, I've been looking for a game that is very portable, that I could take with me when I travel, that I could play like in the airport in a very limited amount of space, or maybe at a restaurant, if I'm waiting a long period of time. I usually don't play games in restaurants, but you might find yourself at a coffee shop and you need something to do. This is one of those perfect little games. It's very portable. It's a deck of cards, and that's all you need. You don't need dice. You don't need pen and paper. It does come with a campaign sheet. You start down here at level 1 on the space station, and you're supposed to work your way up to deck 52. Now, here's the thing. I don't think I'm going to play this game 52 times, because every time you win, you move up a deck. And if you lose, sometimes you have to move down a deck. If you don't die, sometimes you're forced to go down. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play it by tens. Floor 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 50. And so that's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. And if I like it, maybe I will play a longer game. So the first thing and I'll explain the rules of this game as I go along. But the first thing you're going to decide when you want to play this game is there are 3 characters to play. There is the thug, there is the marine, and the scientist. And each one of them comes with various benefits or, reasons you might want to choose them. These two, the marine and the scientist, come with, I believe, 4 health, but they get some better stuff. The thug starts with a higher health pile. I can't remember. I'd have to look at the rule book again. Starts with a higher health, but he only starts with a stim pack and a grenade. I'm going to play with the scientist. I'm an engineer, so I figure, hey, let's see how the scientist does on my first take here. So the scientist is going to start with a force field, an oxygen tank, and an access card. So I'm going to go through the loot deck here, which is very small. There's an oxygen, an access card, and a force field. So the loot deck is not what you would call big. There's a med kit in there. There's a power cell explosion, which hurts you. And then there's a grenade. There are some other weapons and things that you can find, but you have to find those. You don't get them in the loot deck necessarily. So I start with these 3, and I'm going to put those right here. And her card goes right here. So she's got her, let me see if I can figure out how to, so you can see everything. So she's here, and her health pile, health is represented by cars. See how they count down? 4, 3, 2, 1. So we'll put that right here. When you reach 0, you're dead. So you don't want to do that. And there are ways to boost your health above 4, and hopefully you will find those in the game. Now, I've got the loot deck, which I will put right here. And what else do I need? This is the starting point. This is the, what do they call this? The entrance. It's just a card that you place to indicate where you're going to start the game. So I'm gonna put it like this so that you can see it more the way the camera's oriented. I want you to be able to read it. And I have 2 cards here. One is called objectives. The other is called threats. They're numbered 1 to 7 on both of them. And what these are is you're going to use a set of 7 cards. They actually have numbers on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's a flamethrower and a pulse rifle, which have 6 and 7. Excuse me. 6 and 7. So these will go in here temporarily so that I can roll a random number, so to speak, between 1 and 7. And then after I've done that, I will remove them from the game. Unless I had, say, the Marine. She gets the pulse rifle to begin with. So let me shuffle these up real quick, and we'll pick our objective and our threat. Now for deck 1 up to deck 10, actually up to deck 20. So for the first 3 games I will play, I only have to pull 1 threat. When I get to deck 30, I go to 2 threats, and then when I get to deck 40 and 50, you go to 3 threats. So, yeah, it gets harder as the game goes on. So let's roll this. I rolled a 2 for the objective. The objectives is resolve any 2 cards in the gaps. I'll cover that shortly. So I know what my objective is. Now let's find out what the threat is for this level. And the threats, you do not have to use the threats. They make the game a little bit more difficult. But I'm going to go ahead and do it. And the threat is going to be number 5. Unstable floors. When the second wrecked module is explored, draw an action card. On a 4+, you lose 2 health, you fall down 1 level and must start a new mission. Well, hopefully that won't happen because you can't fall out of level 1. All right, so now what I'm going to do is take out 7 and 6. So my random die can only roll as 1 to 5 unless I manage to find that pulse rifle somehow. So I'm going to put these cards right here next to my scientist, and this is how she will resolve those things. This is called the action pile. Let's see, what next? All right, so I know my threat, I know my objective. Now, the rest of the cards on one side, they have this 4-door, it's a room with 4 doors. In this game, there are 2 types of ways to move around the station. There are what they call junctions, and think of junction as a room. All right, a junction is a room. Everything else is an access way, or I forget what they call it. Let's see, what's the word for it? I'm not seeing it, but they will break off. And so what happens is, since I'm starting here in a junction, I have 4 possible corridors or access ways to go. So you just place them as follows, like that. And whatever room you're in is the card that you're currently on. So we're on here. And you can peek in rooms to see what is needed to get through that room. And that's called resolving a room. So you don't have to resolve a room, but you can peek in and see what it is. But until and actually these all come out exposed or face up like this, and I shuffled this, by the way, like this, and man, these cards are hard to pick up on this hardboard. Come on. I can't get the card out. I got no fingernails. All right, come on. There we go. All right. Now, it may be a little hard for you to read because I'm having to keep the cards oriented a certain way because that comes into the gameplay. The way you pull out new cards is after you resolve a card, you flip it over so it looks like that room. So this one automatically resolves. So I am in this room. Once I resolve it, I would flip it over and then place cards based on whether this is a junction or a corridor. A corridor goes into a junction, right? But you can't have a corridor going off of a corridor. So a junction would appear here, and then 3 cards would be revealed for it. So first thing I want to do is I want to look. I can resolve this first one, which says storage lockers. It says to resolve, draw a card from the loot deck, or I can auto-resolve it. Now here's the thing. Auto-resolve just means I flip it over. Or I can go to the loot deck and draw a random card. I know that in this loot deck, there are 2 good cards and 1 bad card. There's one that does like a decompression or whatever, and I lose health. So I'm not hurting right now. I'm at 4 health, so I don't need the med kit, and I don't need whatever the other one is, a grenade. There's a grenade, a med kit, and a decompression explosion. And so I'm just going to auto-resolve this. I don't need to search the loot deck. So what I do is I flip it over, and now this is a corridor, and I'm in there. But let's look at the other ones. I have an air duct. To resolve this, I have to explore 2 cards in the gaps adjacent to resolved passageways. That's right, they're not called corridors, they're called passageways. I'll explain the gaps in just a second. This one says instrumentation bay. To resolve this, shuffle my action cards, and remember these have 1 to 5 on them, and draw 2 of them. Choose 1 to discard, the rest goes back into the action deck. Now here's the deal. You know, the higher the number, usually the better. I don't. If I draw the 1 and the 6, or the 1 and the 5, I'll get rid of the 1, right? But if I resolve a 4 and a 5, if I pull a 4 and a 5, I'm forced to get rid of 1 high number. So for right now, I'm going to ignore this one, and let's go to the vacuum area. The vacuum area says I can auto-resolve if I have the astronaut rig. I do not have that. That is a piece of hardware that I could find. Or it says I can pay the oxygen. Or it says take away 1 health and discard action card number 3, which would leave 1, 2, 4, and 5. So I now know my options. And by the way, what is the ultimate goal here? Well, in this deck of cards are some robots that aren't so nice. There's some aliens that aren't so nice. There are some good cards that give you things. But there's also one called a grav bay. And that is where you need to get to move up through the ship to get to the higher levels. So that's the card I'm looking to find and resolve so I can escape. So if I look at this, I have the oxygen, so I could resolve this. This one says explore 2 gaps. Now, what are gaps? Gaps are spaces between between passageways. It's like a secret route through to another passageway. So if I want to, I would explore 2, which means I have to place 2 cards next to a resolved passageway. Well, this has been resolved. So I can put 1 here and 1 here, and so I'm going to do that because I want to see what I'm up against. So if I put this one here, I've got the med bay, and here it is, the grav shaft. I found it. To resolve, complete the current objective. So I can't move in here until I complete my objective. And if you remember, my objective was resolve any 2 cards in the gap. Well, these are gaps, but I can only resolve this one. You can't resolve the grav shaft until you've completed the objective. The objective is resolve 2 gap cards. So it's chicken or the egg. I'm gonna have to find another gap before I can resolve it before I can come to here. Now I can resolve the med bay. The med bay says to resolve, take the med kit from the loot deck, and the med kit allows you to heal 2 health, and then it immediately goes back in the loot deck. But I don't need it yet. I've got 4 health. So I'm not going to resolve this med bay yet because it just doesn't do me any good to do it. It does satisfy an objective, which would be I could resolve this. But I'm going to save this as one of my 2 resolved gaps. So we don't need this yet. So what does that leave me? Well, let's go to the vacuum area. I'm gonna pay the oxygen. So the oxygen goes back in the loot deck, and I need to shuffle that after I do that. So since I did that, I can resolve this. This card flips over. Now remember, this is a passageway, which means it resolves to a what do you call it? I just went blank on the thing. A junction. Thank you. The terminology is a little new to me. So I have a junction called storage lockers. To resolve, draw a card from the loot deck. Well, now I have a 1 in 4 chance of drawing the boom. Let's do it. I think I'm feeling lucky. So I'm going to shuffle these 4 cards, and I'm going to draw one so that I can, or I can auto resolve it. I could just choose to flip it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to All right, here we go. I got an oxygen. Okay, so I drew a card from the loot deck, and there's 3 cards left. So now I can resolve this. It turns over into a room. Now I get to see what's here. This one is a Void Beast, which I don't want to go up against. I've got an air duct, another one like that one, and down here I've got a wrecked module, which says cannot be resolved. So it's like a dead end. All right, the good news. I can come in here and I can explore the gap. This gap goes here. This one goes here. Since I can do one here and one here. It's kind of like secret passageways. So I have a data crystal and a second data crystal. I don't even know what these are. So this is really good. When explored, put in the inventory stack immediately. So I get a data crystal. And I also get another data crystal. But unfortunately, these are not resolved. They're not rooms that flip over to here. You just you put it right in the inventory. So this is not good for me because I've got to do something. So here's what we're going to do. I can't do the air duct. Actually, to resolve, explore 2 cards. I can resolve this one. I can flip it over. Remember, I resolved these 2. Or, no, I didn't. To resolve, explore 2 cards. Explore is just when you place them down. So I did do this. So let's do this one. Now, this is not a junction. That is a corridor. So it's going to a junction, which is a swarmling. And let's see, junction, corridor. Yeah, this one is a, and it has, I haven't resolved it. Before I can see what branches off, I would have to resolve this card. Swarmlings, what you do is if I go in here, I pull a card between 1 and 5. On a 1, I lose -1 health. And then you don't kill it. You put the deck back in and you shuffle it again. On a 2 to 5, I can shuffle the Swarmling back into the map deck and then pull another card. So let's try that. Let's do combat. So here are the 1 to 5s. 1 to 5s right here. I'll shuffle them up. And what I really want to do is pull a 2 to 5. I want to get rid of that card. And I pulled a 4. So I did. So this gets shuffled back into here, and I'll shuffle that in a minute. And after you shuffle it, I place another card to be where that junction will go. All right. Hopefully I don't pull the same one. Let's see. I did. I pulled the same one. Okay. Let's do it again. I'm feeling good. Let's shuffle this up. And let's see. I pulled a 5. Excellent. So I get to shuffle it in again. And hopefully this time I don't draw the same card. Probably draw something worse. Let's see. All right, let's go. Guard bot, even worse. So now I've got a guard bot down here and a void beast. The guard bot, if I draw a 1 or 2, I lose 2 health. A 3, 4, I shuffle it back in. And a 5 or 6, I don't have a 6 in that. On a 5, I get to resolve this, meaning I guess I beat it. The void beast, a 1 to 3, you lose a health and you have to try again immediately. You can always retreat. 4 to 6, shuffle this back in. You know what? Wow, this is not good. But you know what I can do? I can look into the gaps here. I haven't done that. Let's do that. So a gap here is going to be swarmlings, and a gap here is going to be a security turret. Security turret says 1. It resolve. If you roll the 1 or pull a 1, resolved. You may also resolve a void beast card. So if I resolve this, I can automatically flip that one. 2 to 3 resolved, and a 4 or 5, you lose 2 health. Well, I'm feeling lucky because right now I don't have a med kit, but I do have the med bay to go and get that med card. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to try and hack the security turret, I guess. What I don't want to do is pull the 4 or 5. I don't want the 4 or 5. I want a 1, 2, or 3. And if I don't resolve it, I can do it again if I want to. All right, here we go. I drew a 2. 2 to 3 means it resolves. Well, guess what? I didn't resolve this one, but it says this is a gap. And remember, I have to resolve any 2 cards in gaps. So here's one. I march my way back down, through here, into here. I resolve the med bay. Now I've satisfied the objective. I never had to worry about the unstable floor threat because it was when the second wrecked module is pulled, which here's number 1. I never pulled the second one. So I satisfy the objective, and then I can make my way to the grav shaft, and it says to resolve, complete the current objective, which I did, and I now have escaped up to the next level. It's a real fun, fast little game, and as you can see, it doesn't take a lot of space. You're sort of limited in the characters you can play. There's the scientist, thug, and marine. I didn't get to show you how the flamethrower and the pulse rifle, you can get those. There are other things that you can find in the game. There's a stim pack, which gives you more health. There's an astronaut rig, which gives you even more health. And then there's the exoskeleton, which gives you a lot of health. And these are found in certain rooms. And what you do is you basically, it says you stack it on top of your health bar. This says if this card is on top, you may resolve a vacuum area. Okay, so if you're wearing the astronaut rig and it's on top of your health thing, you can go through a vacuum area. The exoskeleton, if this card is on top, you may lose 1 health but resolve a blast door or vacuum area. So that's kind of cool. And then the stim pack says if this card is on top, you may lose 1 health but redraw a map card when you explore. So if you don't like one, you could redraw it. So it's got some fun little variations to it. And like I said, luckily I didn't pull that that one card. Let's see. So the med kit allows you to restore 2 health. The grenade says for beating any challenge, draw 2 action cards and choose one. Shuffle grenade into the loot deck. So you get to draw 2 cards to try and resolve what's on it. And then, of course, the bad one, power cell explosion. You lose 2 health, and this goes back into the loot deck. So it's fun. It's cute. I mean, it's a cute game. It's very simple. The graphics and the layout and design of this game is really well done. I am really hoping, I haven't done any digging, but I'm hoping that maybe there's some more games in this Deck 52 series. I don't know. I didn't see any when I was examining the author and all that, but it's possible I just overlooked it. But if you like this game, I will put links to the cards that you can order. I ordered them, and it took about, I want to say it took about 2 weeks for them to arrive. I had totally forgotten about it, so when they showed up, it was kind of a nice surprise. I will put links to that. I will also put links to the website where you can download the instruction guide and the campaign map here. I'm going to keep playing it, so I will fill this out, and you can download my campaign PDF using a link in the video description below. So if you're looking for a small, portable little game, this is pretty cool. It's a standard 52 card deck. As a matter of fact, I remember on the website for this, you can download a free PDF and print it out on cardstock, which is a tuck box to hold all the cards in. It's thematic. It has the graphics and stuff like that. So I'll probably end up doing that. So anyway, I hope you like this. Again, cleanup. All I got to do is just collect all the cards and put them in a pile, and I'm ready to play another game. So if you liked this game, definitely maybe you'll give it a shot. Maybe give a shout out to the author and ask him to maybe make another one, maybe a fantasy version of it or something like that. I could see this totally being a dungeon crawl game of some sort. All right, that's it. This is Deck 52. Space Wrecked is the name of the game. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me for this very simple little demo. And everybody, take care.